Pat, welcome to the Laura Dowling Experience. I am delighted to have you on.
Thank you.
I came across you because we were both in a magazine, and I reached out, and I'm just really interested in your life. And we had a little brief conversation before we came into the studio, and goodness, so you started your life in Brazil?
Yes, so I was born and then, I was born in Rio de Janeiro. I was raised by the sea. You know, I'm always joking that we didn't have a backyard, but we did have a lot of sand, which was amazing. Grew up in a family of extremely strong women. You know, had a great grandmother that back in the 30s worked. So that was obviously a big deal at the time, you know, for women to be working. She not only worked, but she also decided that for a wedding gift, she wanted to get, she wanted to mind kids. So she started this little kindergarten in her own house. And from there, it grew to a little chain of private schools, you know, all the way to high school, which is quite incredible, you know, starting the 30s and all of that. Was a 70-year-old business until it was sold. And, my grandmother is the same, extremely feisty and strong. The poor thing now, she has Alzheimer's, so it's really complicated and challenging. I'm sure everybody facing something similar will understand. It's crazy. But she was, at the height of her, incredible being. She was the most feisty and incredible and, managing the family, managing the business, and incredible woman. And then there was my mother, who is is an entrepreneur, self-made woman. Again, what an example. I always joke that we were raised as employees rather than kids. And I don't mind that. I think that was amazing, gave us great work ethic. There's my sister. So it's a lot of women. We joke that's a self-reproducing family because where are the men? It's like,
where are the men?
Listen, some are RIP,
Some you kicked out.
Some they were kicked out. The ones that are there, the good ones, Your
poor husband, he must be looking at you sometimes going,
serious pressure.
Keeping my eye on you.
Like, keep him on his toes. There's no harm there, But anyways, so surrounded by those women, very independent, goers, doers, and, incredible. So got to college, and funnily enough, I wanted to do fashion. I thought fashion was so interesting. And then, you can express your personality, etc., through your clothes. And then suddenly my mom is like, no, you're going to do something that pays for your bills. And then you can do fashion if you want. Typical, right?
Yeah.
And as a 17-year-old going into college so young, I was like, I suppose then fine. What should I do? She's like, business, because business is one of those broad, I suppose, subjects that you can just then specialize on something else later if you want. And you know what? It was amazing.
Okay.
I loved every single bit of it. I suppose coming from a family of business women, men too, but mostly women, as I said, business gave me that great view of like, wow, this is all the stuff that we have to go through to put a business together or to work at a business. So much so that my thesis was on family businesses, right? At the end of college, obviously based on the schools. I had all my family watching me presenting at the end. It was hilarious because that's how we do things, in bundles. Then graduated, started working for Telecom Italia. They are still based in Brazil. They were based in Rio. And a few years later, I got invited to work for an Irish business in the Caribbean called Digicel. It's a telecommunications business. So my first 10 years in working, I suppose, they were in telecoms, right? And again, it's a very mature industry, an industry where people wear suits and, they speak very well and it's all very prim and proper. And that, again, gave me a great background, I think, anyways. I worked for Digicel in the Caribbean for like 6-7 years. Several different roles, anything from products to launching an MVNO, which is a white label operator in Honduras. I moved from Jamaica to Honduras to Panama. So I did 3 different markets with them. In the meantime, I met my Monaghan man.
Your mom.
Yeah.
You went to Jamaica and met a Monaghan man.
I did. Yeah, I know. I'm not perfect. I'm joking. He is a very cool guy. He's a surfer from a landlocked county, but he loves surfing. And, that connected us, I guess, because I'm from Rio, from the beach. And the fella is like a surfer
Yeah.
Okay, it's from
I love surfing.
Do you?
Yeah, I used to surf all the time down in the west of Ireland.
Oh, yeah,
before I had
Clare or
babies.
something.
Actually, even when I was pregnant on my first fella, I was still surfing.
That's amazing.
And we went to South Africa and everything. But anyway, that ship has sailed. Those days are gone.
That board is lost in the sea.
That board has certainly.
Listen, no, but that connected us. You know, he's very much into living lightly, and you know, so it was just easy for us. You know, I love to dress up well. I love to have a beautiful home. I love to do everything like in a very nice way, but I don't like waste.
Okay.
I don't like excess. That's the whole point, right? And he's the same. You know, we like to have good experiences. We like to have things that will last, but we don't want flashy lots, you know, the unnecessary bits.
Okay.
Yeah. So we connected, and I suppose we got engaged within a year and a half. That was pretty quick.
Okay.
So we were living in Honduras at the time, got married in Rio. Had a little shindig here in Ireland as well for the family who couldn't make it. It was amazing. And we've been together for 12 years now. So it's almost like, I suppose, almost half of my life I've been away from my home country. Yeah. So I feel like very much, you know, a citizen of the world at that stage. To be fair, I feel very Irish at this stage. You know, obviously I have my kids.
Well, you use the term shindig, so you're definitely Irish.
Well, maybe that, yeah. You know, I have my two boys. You know, this is our home. Dublin's our home. We chose Dublin. You know, he wanted to go to Rio so bad. And I wanted to come to Ireland because I'm like, I'm not raising a kid in a place where there's 5 million people, just the capital city. That's Rio, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's huge. Yeah. You know, it's like, if we're going to have a family, I'd rather be in a quieter place. And obviously Dublin was a great option. We got jobs here. The minute we wanted to leave the business there, we got jobs here. So it was pretty easy. You know,
you actually asked to be transferred to Ireland?
Not transferred. We left.
Okay.
But through connections, you know, we got jobs here very quickly. And we hit the ground running, start working again, still in telecoms. A year after, I decided, you know what? I want to do something different. And I heard about this company called Paddy Power that I hadn't a clue what they were doing. But I was like, sounds interesting. Everybody's like, best company to work for. You're going to love that. And I was like, really? Gambling? I was like, well, I don't know. I don't gamble. And I have no idea how to place a bet. And I ended up interviewing, getting the job. So I was working in online marketing. So great experience dealing with like the famous football clubs, you know, commercial deals and, you know, sponsorship deals and things like that. So it was very exciting. And that was the boom of online marketing. Your paid ads, your SEO, you know, organic search, you know, optimization, all of those things. I was like, this is extremely exciting. YouTube ads, who knew? You know, all these things happened when I was working there. So great experience. Had my first baby, Thomas, and decided, you know what, I'm going to go back, but I want to do something different. That something different wasn't quite there for me. You know, my team was in a very good space. Everything was structured. And I was like, I want to do something else. At the time, Betfair, which was a competitor, was hiring, right, for someone to look after international markets, regulated international markets. And I love, Laura, if there is one thing I love, I suppose you will know that by now, but it's international experience, you know, dealing with different cultures. I think I have a good... I don't know. I think I can handle that, you know, the varied behaviors and, you know, just reactions, because it can be quite like, whoa, what is this? And you're like, it's okay. It's just a different culture. Okay. You know, that's how people react in different places. It's all very different. I love that.
And do you have a number of languages, or is it?
I speak English, Spanish and Portuguese and a bit of Italian because of my background.
Throw it in there.
Just throw it in there, just for a good measure. And, you know, so I do love that. And I was like, you know, I'll do that job. Got the job, traveled a lot. It was an intense job, but I loved every second. My team was not here. I had people in London, in Bulgaria, in Romania, in Porto, you know, whatever, can't remember, Denmark, Spain. I had people everywhere. So it was an intense job with a 1.5-year-old.
Wow.
The fella was like, who are you? Yeah. You know, well, I forgot actually to say, before I joined Betfair, I found out companies were merging. I was on gardening leave because when you're moving to competitors like that, you need to stay home. They pay you to stay home. And I was like, well, suppose fine.
Great. You don't get that in pharmacy. There's no such thing as gardening leave in pharmacy.
It's an amazing deal. I was like, okay, sure, I'll stay home. But they were merging the businesses. And I was like, what? So I went back to my same floor, same faces and everything. I was like, I can't believe, guys, I'm back. Thankfully, I didn't, close that door in a bad way.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that wouldn't be me. And at the time, did that international job for maybe 9 months or so, a year. And the guys start hiring, once the merger was completed, they were hiring for customer experience director. And again, with this patchwork of roles that I had done over the past years before, right? Many years before, that was a good role for me. Got the job and it was transformational. I loved it, because it's dealing with people, expectations, how new technologies impact your behavior as a consumer, and although, we were talking about gambling, it's not necessarily the most glam or exciting for me wasn't anyways, industry. The customer experience side of things was very exciting, customer journeys on the website, customer journeys in store and that sort of thing. Loved it. I always joke.
Is it always to try and make them bet more?
In that case, yes. Sorry, God. Entertainment. Right? 95% of the times it's all fine. But, I feel like horrible saying that, by the way. But
look, it's an industry, and
it's a huge industry.
Like it is.
It's a huge industry. But going back to the experience and understand customer behaviors, and that to me was fascinating. And I would joke that if I ever go back to corporate, that's where I want to go back. What happened then was, had my second baby, got pregnant of Connor. And that was a very planned baby. Mind you, the first one was a major surprise.
Oh,
I was 4.5 months pregnant when I found out.
Really?
It was like a cat pregnancy, I think. I don't know.
Oh.
It was very short. I was like, oh, pregnant. Oh, baby. There you go.
Did you no nausea, no weight gain? Or?
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing.
Okay.
I was running. I was a big runner at the time. My husband and I were running long distance. And I was like, perfect. Nothing, had nothing.
That's mad, because literally from the minute I did a pregnancy test, I felt nauseous for the first 20 weeks, horrendous. No,
I never had an episode of nausea with pregnancy.
Wow.
Or cravings or none of that stuff.
Okay.
I don't know. It's like, I would like a bit of cravings just for the fun.
Some women just are like that. I suppose it's just, we're all different, isn't it?
So second child, we found out very early. I'd say I was 6 weeks pregnant. And I was like, you know what? I can't stand still, sit there quietly. It's like, let's be a mommy. I was like, no, I need to use that time. I'm going to have free, inverted commas, free time, new baby. I had one already. What could go wrong? So I said to my husband, look, I am going to use my maternity leave as a little, test for a business idea that I have. And he's like, what is it, Pat? At the time we were living in a very mindful way, because after having that first child, I was like, Jesus, do I need a box for the first hair lock or the first tooth? We were getting all these gifts and lovely, but not necessarily needed. Yeah. And I was like, okay, maybe this is too much. And it felt wrong to me. Yeah, personally. So we took a big step back. We looked at our lives and we're trying to do better, without really calling ourselves sustainable living advocates or anything, because nobody was calling themselves that 9 years ago. At least here in Ireland, you wouldn't find people talking about that stuff.
I wouldn't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but we became the weird friends. Oh. We're like, why are you doing this? Ooh, deodorant cream, that's gross. Menstrual cups. Oh, don't think so. Okay, so all those things, in fact, there was no glam. It was all like, ugh. I think there's a bit out there, Pat. That's a bit out there.
You turn up with Christmas presents wrapped in brown paper and they look at you.
Are you okay, honey? Do you need a bit of help? My father-in-law is like, is everything okay with you? I'm like, yeah. So
was it having the baby that
brought
first this on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So brought this on, and slowly but surely we were getting there. First child, second one was about to arrive, and I was like, first of all, we're not going to go through the same process. We're going to just say, people, we are looking for, this is what we need for this child, because he had a brother. an older brother. So I had a lot of stuff. I had buggies, car seats, and blah, blah, all of those little outfits because I saved everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew we were having another child. I didn't know what it was, but I don't care. You will wear blue.
Oh, yeah.
I do not care.
I got the neighbour's clothes from the neighbour down the road gave me black sacks full of clothes for our first. And I was so into it. I was like, oh my God, thanks a million. She's like, I'm surprised actually because some people would look at you funny offering, a first baby.
The black sack boutique.
Old clothes. Yeah. But I absolutely.
No, I joke. Like, I love the black sack boutique.
Yeah.
I have a sister-in-law, Emer, she's up in Monaghan, and she has 2 boys as well. So the amount of clothes I get from her, it's just a dream. Shoes, clothes, little suits for communion. I have it all.
Or even, do you know what I love as well about when you're reusing baby products? The Moses basket. So I loved giving my Moses and thinking like there was other little newborns in those Moses baskets as opposed to buying one every, because families do buy them and it's not necessary.
There's no need.
Anyway, I'm not as like, it's those kind of things I like, but I'm not as sustainably living as you are, but I'd love to try it more, which is I'm sure we'll talk more about it.
We'll do this. We'll do this. So the second fellow was like, on his way, and I had these needs. So I always say that as a customer for sustainable living goods in Ireland, my experience had been quite fragmented. A lot of farmer markets, little shops here and there, or you just stumble across something and you're like, oh, I'm just going to buy 3 of these because I can't find these anywhere else, like a nice soap or whatever it was. A lot of Amazon orders more than I'd like to admit because I couldn't find the stuff here. Sustainable living things. Yeah, whatever it was. Yeah. And I said to him, I'm going to create this one-stop shop for sustainable living goods that is not necessarily focused on beige, stainless steel looking things that are very niche and people are not going to be like, oh, I'll give this a go. I joked with Stephen back then, that's 2017, I want the Brown Thomas customers to buy with us. And fast forward to last year, we were in Brown Thomas, right? Which is hilarious.
Wow.
But I was like, I want them to look at reuse and think, this is funky, this is pretty. Oh, it happens to be sustainable. Happy days then, and becomes normal. It doesn't need to be like, why do you have this hippie bottle there? Why do you have this funky thing made from coconut oil and, I don't know, sugar cane? No, let's make something pretty. Let's make something that will last.
So to make it more, I suppose, accessible
fun.
As well. Yeah.
And fun.
Yeah.
Because the stuff that was out there, I started doing research, where can I find these bits? And here, but also in the UK, in Australia, in America, in Brazil, where can I find this? And everything was like beige, stainless steel, aluminum colors. And you're just like, guys, I see sustainability in a very, it has to be normal. It has to be fun.
Why are they beige and stainless steel? Why
because things started, because that's how it started, really.
Okay.
Things started like made from hemp, made from organic fabrics, or made from your aluminum bottles and everything. I think people associated those things with sustainability because there's no fuss, let's call it, right? But being colorful, being fun, being attractive, to me, that doesn't mean fuss. To me, it means that more people feel attracted to it, which means you have a better chance of people adopting better habits and sticking to those. Yeah. So I can give you a shampoo bar there that looks like, a bit funny looking and it comes in a little bit of like tissue paper. There, try that, Laura. And you'll be like, I'm not sure. Or I can give you a lovely, wrapped in compostable packaging, with lovely instructions, etc. It smells good. And you'd be like, I'll give this a go.
It smells gorgeous. So Pat did give me a shampoo bar and a conditioner bar when she came to the studio. And it does smell lovely. And, I never would have thought of using a shampoo bar before. I was like, what do I do with this? Yeah. But you just use it like a normal shampoo. You're just rubbing it into your hair. And obviously the whole sustainability part of it is that
when it's over, it's over.
It's over and you don't have a plastic bottle at the end. Yeah. But then how do you keep it from going gunky?
I should have brought that for you. Soap dishes.
Okay.
Or I can give you a few tricks. You can use things you have at home and use as a soap dish. Yeah. All you need to do is avoid the water sitting there, right? So it doesn't go gunky, basically.
Yeah.
But so what happened was I went back every night I was coming back from work, sitting there with a big bump, writing down, the intro, product descriptions, and I was testing a bunch of products and all that. I had very little like suppliers in Ireland. I had almost nobody. It was a lot of UK at the time. And that was fine. So I launched the website 5 days before Connor was born. So it was May the 4th.
Are you
Nerds.
like a masochist or something?
Probably. But my mom was here and she's like, we had our dining table. I only had 30 products, right? And maybe like 5 units of each.
Okay.
So, which is like nothing compared to what we have today. So I had my dining table, which is a 10-seater, right? It's a big one, but it was completely covered by sections. So kitchen stuff, bathroom stuff, whatever. All pretty much based on the essentials we would use at home. Ourselves. And my mom was so proud helping me putting it together. It's great to have a mom with you at, these key moments. It's amazing. So, and my mom is very process driven. So I was like, this is how you're going to store these and here's the stock. I was like, fabulous. So on the way to maternity to Hollow Street, we got an order from this lady called Anne-Marie. I'll never forget her name because she was our first stranger, order. Yeah. I was like, Stephen, do you know this Anne-Marie? Obviously, I won't say her surname. And Stephen's like, no. I was like, oh my God, text your family there. Maybe they know. I was like, oh my God. And I text my friends, guys, do you know this? Like, no. I was like, oh my God, a stranger is ordering. Stephen's like, can we please focus? You have a baby to deliver.
That was a great omen though, wasn't it? You're going to have your baby and someone placed an order.
It was almost like I was giving birth to 2 things at the same time. And Connor was alone. Wasn't a birth. The fellow was like, boof, out. Yeah. So I was like, I joked that I launched Reuzi on the 4th. On the 9th, Connor was launched. So they're my twins. So Connor, no joke, Laura, was born in a sling. What's the name of that thing? The baby sling.
Peanut things.
That you put the baby inside here and you carry the baby around. A baby carrier.
Sling.
A sling, yeah. So he was born inside one of those, straight into a stock room full of cardboard, labels, and post labels, and I'm there packing, and that was that. That was it. Thankfully, I was very lucky. A friend of ours offered me a room in Grand Canal, just across where Meta is, the Facebook office, right? I don't know what to say anymore. And I had all my storage there. So twice a week I would go in with Connor, would pack orders, carry everything back to the car, go to the post office, job done, and things started to happen, I got very lucky. I got a few radio ads going. People start getting in touch. I remember feeding Connor on the sofa and getting a call from Yanni, one of our suppliers, saying, hey, I'm starting a business, shampoo bars, soap bars. I'm here in Kildare. She's amazing. As a Swedish lady. And she's like, would you like to try? I just heard you on the radio. And I was like, sure. So, and we're like, so close now, and we do a lot of things together because it really worked. And lots of small other businesses started to appear. It's like, can I send you this? Do you want to try this? Like a consignment. You don't have to pay me. Let's see how if it works. Yeah. And things started to happen. I put my face out there on social media. Wasn't feeling my best, comparing to what I would say is my best. But I was like, I have to. My best friend she has a social media agency in Brazil, Mari, and she said, you have to put your face out there. This is how it's going to go now. And I was like, oh God. So needless to say, my first videos are no longer available online.
I'd love to take a look at them.
Oh, they're gone. I don't even know where they are.
I think we've all pressed the delete button on a few occasions
for the
stuff that we've done in the past.
I didn't know what I was doing, Laura.
Yeah, I know.
I was like...
Sure, none of us did, though.
I was like, hi, guys. I'm going to show you how this thing works today. Oh, yeah. It's just, but it's fine. And from there was great interactions. A lot of my audience is moms. It's always composed by moms. Obviously, when I started with a tiny little baby there, and they knew because I was talking about the baby, I create this little community that's still going. I made friends with a lot of them, like proper, come to the house, bring your kids. And it's been an amazing ride, It's been an amazing ride.
I did a little bit of research. And I did read that when you had your first baby, you thought, if just 3 people can create so much waste.
That's right.
Like, what is it? What is the world creating? There's so many of us in the world.
Yeah. Because it's true. If you think of
even with nappies, when you consider it.
Well, our first baby, I hadn't a clue. First of all, I had never changed the nappy. the midwife was there. So this is how 2 legs, you clean like that. And I was like, oh my God, record, Stephen, record, because we're going to need to look back to this tutorial. It's like, so I have the first bath, the first nappy, all recorded, because I was like,
you never did it?
I had never done. No, I'm the oldest in my family.
You're the youngest in your family? Oldest. So
I'm
you didn't
oldest.
change your younger brothers and sisters?
No, I only have one sister. She's 3 years old, 3 years younger, and that's it.
Okay.
And I have a half brother, but we never lived together because my parents are divorced.
Okay.
My dad had my brother, but I was 18. I was in college. I was like, hello, I'm not going to be looking after a baby, So I never had.
Okay, I'm the eldest of 4, so I would have changed nappies, and even I had loads of cousins around, so I would have done loads of that.
None of that.
Yeah.
So, so we were learning on the job, what can we do better? Obviously, we started with things that we knew, like, both of us traveled with work.
Yeah.
So let's, what can we do better? Obviously, the water bottle is the obvious one, the coffee cup, or like bringing a few snacks in your bag just so you don't buy those over-packaged, sandwiches or nuts or whatever it is, but then where do you buy them package free? Hard, very hard.
It is very difficult.
Very difficult. You can buy big bags. At the time, you could buy big bags, but not necessarily package free, super easy. So I'm like, oh my God, where'd you go for this? Now it's much easier. I like to say that since we launched 2018, or even since I started, the research was a year or so before that, right? Things have progressed almost like speed of light. Yeah. So, I couldn't find anybody like Reuzi. There were a few shops, but as I said, it's a bit more beige or a bit more focused on a specific, demographic, like maybe moms, maybe this, maybe that. But like a broad one serving everybody with like multitude of products, there was not much like happening at all. Now you can find lots of guys trying, like similar supposed missions. I'm very close to a few of them. You can find package-free grocers, which is amazing. Like Jess, my friend, she has one called The Good Neighbors in Dundrum. Again, she's doing a great job. But there's others. There's in Rathmines, there's in Bray, there's more somewhere. In Mullingar, lovely girl Evelyn. So,
and through your website, do you sell other people's products then, or do you formulate your own products and develop your own products?
We have over 1,200 products at the moment. Okay. So it started with 30, so it's been a journey.
How big is your warehouse?
It's big. Okay. It's big. So but to be honest, Laura, we're very much not on demand, because that's not sustainable in the sense that, I would be receiving a lot of parcels from suppliers. Mm-hmm. I rather have like one big order so it's there and I don't have to be asking for because shipping, right? That generates a footprint, right? Carbon emissions. And I obviously try to reduce that. But we try not to have like 500 units of something. Yeah. So at the moment we work with a multitude of suppliers. We have over 250 suppliers working with us at the moment. Most of them are Irish. We try to work with Irish businesses. And if we can't find something that's made in Ireland here, right? Say a stainless steel bottle or a reusable coffee cup. These things are not made here. Simply not, period. They might be branded here, but they're not made here. Mm-hmm. So what we do is we work with an Irish distributor. The idea is to support the local community. We're very strong on the whole support local, shop local. This is our thing, right? Even during the pandemic, we were set up for that because we were local. We're like, no, we know how to do this stuff. Your champion greens and all of that. We're like, we can do that. Guaranteed Irish. We are part of Guaranteed Irish and all. And then we also have our own range of products that is ongoing and it's growing. So we have personal care, we have accessories like your bags, we have your soap dishes, your like bathroom, accessories and all. And that range is only going to grow.
And you period wear as well, don't you?
We have menstrual cups, we have menstrual reusable pads, sanitary pads, panty liners, and then we have the compostable, not compostable, sorry, the plastic-free versions.
I have to say, I started using the period pants.
Oh, pants, we have pants.
About a year and a half ago when a company approached me to work with them. And I said, I'll give them a go, and I never crossed my mind to use them. They are amazing.
They're the bomb.
And I also have a menstrual cup that I haven't used yet because I actually love the period pants. And sorry if this sounds gross, I just like the fact that everything's flowing out and it's not being kept inside either with a cup or a tampon.
Yeah.
But I actually only now wear tampons if I'm swimming.
Yeah,
I'll never wear them. And
you could wear the cup.
Use a cup.
You could wear the cup,
and I probably I will switch over to that next month.
The cup, there's like different folding, I suppose, techniques, right?
Okay.
So I like the one that is the V. So you literally just get. So say here's the cup. I don't know if people listening to us will understand.
You'll need to explain.
I'm gonna do a little video.
Audience.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a little video, but it's very easy. You just literally fold. It becomes a pointy thing, so it's much easier to insert.
Okay.
As you would with a tampon, and once it's up there, you literally feel like that. Pop. Because that's the
pretty quite nice.
It's the vacuum. You're like, oh, thank you. You're welcome. So, but the pants are unbelievable.
Superb, and I love them.
I love them.
You know, and even now, I wish I'd had them as a kid. You know, when I was younger. So when you think about,
and it's so safe, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you think about the amount of sanitary wear that a girl will go through from the age of 12 all the way through to menopause.
12,000 more or less.
Oh my goodness, when you think about it, and they're not compostable.
Even if they are plastic free, which they exist, and we have a few brands online, you know, blood can never be composted the same way with number twos, poops from babies, because they could contaminate the land where that organic mass is going to, and then ended up contaminating us, right? So blood and poop, we have to put in the black bin, general waste bin, whatever you call them.
Oh, do you? Okay. So let's talk a little bit more now about what we do living day to day, how we can, and this isn't by any way a preachy thing at all. Yeah. And no one is to take offense, but I suppose we all want to live that little bit more sustainably. Yeah. It's funny. We all want to jump on Greta's bandwagon.
No, listen, I don't think so, because Greta would be like the all or nothing for a lot of people, right?
Greta's a bit scary.
But like, she has a very important role because she's going all out. The majority of people will not go all out.
No.
Because one, they don't feel comfortable, they don't know enough, or simply they don't want it. It's not their vibe. I don't want to put myself out there like that. And that's fine. So instead of like giving people tips, because I could sit here and do a lecture on recycling or composting, and I can if you want. But I always say, like, you know, first, come from a place of love, of pride, of like, I will try this, you know, instead of like, oh my God, I can't tell you. Because what I hear all the time is like, oh, I'm so sorry, I have my cup here. Oh, I'm so sorry, this. Oh, I'm like, stop with the shame.
I even said to you, I said to Pat, I was going to come up with a gift box of my fabÜ products. And I said, oh no, it's Pat. I can't bring a gift box. I'll just bring the product.
But that's, you see, it's a place of shame. It cannot be a place of shame. It needs to be a place of opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? I was talking to someone last week and she was like, oh, my kitchen, Pat. And I was like, do not come from a place of like embarrassment.
Yeah.
You need to look at it instead of like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, listen, that's an opportunity and I know I can do better. Amazing. So that's already what everybody should be doing. You know, I always say, you can't, well, that's a common business saying, right? You can't manage what you can't measure. So first, try and figure it out. What's the size of the problem for you, for your family, for your household, whatever it is. You know, is it the kitchen? Like, track your rubbish. What is going into?
I just did a little silent sneeze there, and I put Pat off her train of consciousness.
I just wanted to give you room.
Thank you.
But you know, like, try and track your rubbish. What's going into your bin? Is it food? Is it plastic? Is it a mix of various things, kids' bits and yogurt packaging or whatever? What is it?
So I'll tell you what goes on in my house. Yeah. And I'm probably a little bit similar to a lot of people out there. So I have my compostable caddy bin I put all the food and all the scrapes from the plate, and then I have a black sack that I suppose bits of stuff that has a bits of food on it will go into, so that's for the black bin. And then I have my recyclable bin, which is like my plastic milk cartons go in there, my cardboard milk carton, anything paper or plastic that's clean, that I've cleaned, or glass, I throw in there.
Or cans.
But we don't drink cans.
So what? Oh, you don't? I go to the park drinking cans all the time. I'm joking. No, I'm more saying, like, you know, tomatoes or that sort of thing.
Yes, plum tomatoes.
Yeah,
we go through buckets of that.
Like chickpeas or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
But no, so basically what I would say to you, that's perfect. You're doing good. The glass has to be separate. Glass has to go into a bin, a glass bin. You know, one of those big ones that you find at a parking lot at Dunn stores or something like that.
Not just go into the green bin?
No. Unless your company, your management, the waste management company tells you that it's okay. So first things first is give them a call and say, like, just wanted to clarify the rules. What can go in my recycling bin? But usually we're talking about paper and cardboard, all types of plastics, and we're talking about tins and cans. Okay, all clean, dry and loose. When I say clean, people are like, oh, I'm going to waste water cleaning these things. Just rinse it. You know, we're not looking for lavender smells, beautiful, you know, like, no. We're looking for just rinsed. We don't want leftovers there. Put that in your bin. No bag in your recycling bin. Never a plastic bag there. It's just loose. It's going to be clean, dry and loose. So it should, in theory, be a super clean bin. Your recycling bin, right? Because there's no leftovers, there's no water. It's just the product, clean, dry, and loose.
Okay.
I joke that, you know, in the past when I didn't know the rules, I used to get like a cereal box and stuff that with like a milk carton and newspaper and more boxes. And that was a perfect bundle of recyclables. But that's a disaster. It all has to be loose, because when that bundle that I consider perfect, and I know for sure I was doing a great job there, when that hits your sorting facility for your rubbish, the guys will be like, I don't know what's in there. I don't have time to sort. They will put that into the general waste bin. Okay, so you wasted your resources.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So, and when you go, when this, I always wondered where it went. Like, when obviously not too much, because, but you know, your recyclable bin, it goes to a sorting place.
It goes to a sorting place. We recycle very little in Ireland. We don't have capacity for all the recycling that recyclables we generate, I suppose. So a lot of that stuff will be incinerated. A lot of that stuff will be, some of that stuff will be recycled, and then some of that stuff will be exported as well. So we will be exporting our rubbish to different places.
And what do those places do with it?
We would hope they would recycle.
But we don't know where it goes.
We don't know where that goes.
And we don't really care. Is that the reality?
I think if we were to be in a very cynical way, probably we don't care enough, you know, or not even cynical, right? It's a fact, just like I suppose. Yeah. So,
but I hear here that it goes to India or China and goes
Malaysia.
To landfill there.
It could be. So China stopped taking our rubbish a few years back, but like Malaysia, there's a few different countries still in Asia that would take our rubbish, which is not fair, right? So if we were to take a step back and look at recycling, that is your last resort. And that's why I keep saying to people, you know, if you can, avoid the recycling bin at all times. I always joke, you know, that movie Notting Hill. It's like, I'm just a girl standing in front of a recycling bin asking you to avoid it. But it's true, because you're like, this is your last resort. That means the rubbish is there and there's nothing else you can do. You can't reuse, repurpose, upcycle, donate. You know, you can't keep it. It's going into the bin. So that is the last option. And because we're just a small island with very limited resources when it comes to transforming that rubbish into something else useful, you know, it's obviously that equation doesn't work, right? Okay. Like, there's not a positive result there no matter what you do. So avoid. The number one point here would be to avoid the generation of even recyclable waste.
So how do we do that?
How do we do that? You go back to auditing your rubbish. Where is it coming from? Is it food? If it's food, try and shop less, but more often, just to avoid that, you know, mushy bag of rocket at the end of every week sitting there that you thought you were like being healthy.
And we all have it, don't we?
We all have. So I'm always saying, be a team, you know, team basket versus team trolley, if you can, because that means you're shopping what you need for the next few days, and then you shop more. Obviously, easier said than done.
Well, I suppose with busy lives. Two parents working.
Exactly. Which the other option then leaves me to, you know, every household in Ireland, I think that's a Food Cloud or EP stat, I can't remember now, but every household in Ireland gravitates towards 20 meals a year. So know your 20 meals. If it's a curry, if it's a shepherd's pie, if it's a whatever, a dal, you know, what is it? And then prepare for those, because you know those won't go to waste, because you know how to cook those. You know people will eat those. Yeah, and you can even batch cook. So done. So if you can't shop less but more often, try and batch cook. Have things that you know people will eat and they would not end up. Because I would be a devil for this. If you tell me, look, Pat, there's pickled onion and all of these nice sauces here. What you reckon? I was like, oh my God, I'm going to try this. Yeah. But then it could, sit in my fridge for years, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that. So stick to what you know. I think that's a very important message. That's food waste. Second then is your plastic waste. Where is it coming from? Is it packaging? If it's packaging for produce like fresh fruits and vegetables, etc., can you buy them loose? Most supermarkets now, you can just buy them loose. And it kills me. A little bit of me dies every time I go into a supermarket and I see someone taking those flimsy plastic bags that still exist in a few supermarkets. I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Stop it. I feel like slapping someone's hand. But I think it's not a good idea.
Walking around Tesco, exactly. People around, yeah.
So I'm always like silently looking and it's like, really? Is that really? So,
okay. But there are things that we can all do.
It's so simple.
And we don't think
so simple. And when people say, sustainability, I can't because it's so expensive. It's not. You're going to buy potatoes, aren't you? Then just buy them loose. Don't be bringing packaging into your home, bananas or whatever it is. Yeah.
I suppose it makes the shop more cumbersome though, because if you don't put your potatoes in a bag, then
2 more seconds to take them off.
So, yeah, but I suppose it's that, okay, so we're living in a time precious life cycle.
Yes.
Like I remember speaking with my grand aunt there a couple of years ago, and she was saying about, she went to the shops every single day, and the once a week she'll get the meat or something like that. But she'd go to the shops every day. They didn't have a fridge, so it had to be every day. And they'd leave the food outside on the back step to keep it cold overnight, the milk or whatever it was. Wow. And they would literally just have what they had for 24 hours and that would have been it. And that was her raising, 8, 10 kids. So as opposed, not going back to that, but going back to, I suppose, the, smaller, better,
it's literally, it's mindful, right? It's more conscious. It's like, why am I buying this? Do I need that buy 2 get 3 offer, right? Usually like a sale or something. It's like tempting, I get it, but you need it. It's literally just taking that extra second to think, oh no, I don't need this. Or, I would love if you could, next time you go to the shops, buy your produce bag free. You can buy cotton bags that are proper for that sort of thing, and you just bring your own bags, and that's fine. But I personally don't bring bags for produce. I literally, if I'm buying aubergine, I'm literally taking my 2 aubergines, putting on the counter there. And that's that. It costs me literally a millisecond extra, and I'm not ending up with plastic bags, obviously, into the house because I wouldn't, so it's just thinking through a little bit more. So that could be the food, packaging. If it's snacks, what sort of snacks are you eating? Are there opportunities out there for you to buy these package-free grocers? They have loads of snacks, even crisps. Can you just go to those guys and buy package free? Meaning you bring your own containers. And when I say containers, I'm not talking about, the home edit collection of beautiful containers that all match and looks beautiful in your pantry. I'm literally talking Tupperware.
You should see my pantry. It's a mess.
It's fine. Mine, I have passata jars, jam jars. Yeah, just reuse the jars and bring to these places and fill up with your, chocolate coated peanuts or whatever it is that people like in your house. These guys have even marshmallows, just go and grab a handful so you always have snacks there.
And are these grocers more expensive than the normal supermarkets?
No, they're not. Okay. Because 2 things. One, they are just not, because they don't carry the big brands, right? So if you think of your Barilla pasta or, to use a name that I would know by heart. I have no idea if it's good or not. Sorry, people. But they don't carry brand names. So they're not charging for that. Also, there's no packaging. So it's cheaper. They're not charging you for the, production of that packaging and packing, the process, It's just there. It's just the actual product. The reason also one of the reasons why they're cheaper, I guess, it's because you are just buying what you need. Sometimes you only have the option for, 2 kgs of rice, whilst when you only need half of that. So why would you pay more for stuff that you're like, oh, fine, I'll just take it, but I don't actually need it. It's literally, Laura, small things, we are not going to affect the lives of a skinny polar bear immediately by making changes to what we do. But we can make a difference in our own household. And people say, oh, but we are only one family. I'm only one person. But the point is, if collectively we were to adopt a more mindful mindset, I guess, mindful behavior, things could get better. And they will get better, hopefully. I'm always using the toothbrush as the example. I was recording a podcast last week with someone else, and I use this example, which is, to me, makes a lot of sense. Toothbrushes, the ones we know, they're not recyclable, right? They have hard plastic, silicone, they have nylon for the bristles. So it's a mixed material product. So nobody's going to sit there at the sorting facility picking those different plastics and put in different bins. It's just black bin.
Okay.
Done. So in Ireland, if we were to say that 4 million people brush their teeth every day, right? And if they were to swap their toothbrushes every 3 months, as per dentist recommendations, right? That gives us 4 toothbrushes a year per person, right? That is 16 million pieces of plastic that will not be recycled, hitting landfill every year. Just Ireland. Right. So 16 million. It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
If we were to collectively adopt a better habit there, being it a bamboo toothbrush, being it a toothbrush that's not made from plastics, there are some out there, how great of a change could we generate? Really great, right? Because you're taking those 16 million pieces of non-recyclable plastics out of landfill. So it's all about those small things, but all of us jumping on board. Okay. So the more we talk about that, the more we're normal about that.
Yeah.
Break the awkwardness, not in a preachy way, not in a judgmental way. The more it's normal, becomes normal. I think the better, the more people feel comfortable and say, you know what, I'll give this a go.
Okay.
We'll see what happens here. And most likely they will just stick to it because right now changes are easier to be made.
Yeah.
There are more options out there. You don't feel like you're just like, oh, I don't think so. It's like the stuff is there. I'm always joking. I was doing a talk the other day for a retail group. And at the end, the MC said, so what's your dream for the future of retail? And I said, my dream for you guys here in the audience, and you had your big supermarket chains, retailers, all those guys were in the audience. And I said, my dream is for you to put me out of a job. Because that means every option out there is good, is better. And then Reuzi or shops like Reuzi, we don't have to exist. It's like your old health store. Right now, pharmacies sell your products, right?
Yeah.
Your fabÜ wellness, all of, you don't have to go to a niche shop to find stuff that's good for you. I would love the same to happen for sustainable living goods. Being it something for food storage, for your personal care, for your kids' nappies, as we were saying, etc. Everything's widely available, accessible, affordable, and fun. So people feel like it's what? The same. Nothing's changing.
Yeah, and it's pretty to look at. It doesn't look like a brown bag
brown bag,
or whatever.
Exactly.
Can I just ask you? So I have a couple of questions to ask you now.
Yeah.
Goodness me, like you're so interesting. When stuff goes to landfill, what happens it?
Well, landfill is literally like layers of soil and rubbish, stacked together. So hoping that those things will eventually decompose. Certain things will decompose. Certain things will only break down into micro nanoparticles, which are called microplastics or nanoplastics. Those things we can't see with the naked eye, but they are going to linger there forever. That's it. So,
right.
The way some people say, plastic bottle will decompose in 500 years or bag, whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, it's not going to decompose. It's only breaking down into smaller and smaller and smaller pieces, to the point that there was a research done in the UK saying that every week an English or UK person eats a credit card in plastic. Eats, breathes, absorbs a credit card equivalent.
Okay, so, and it's getting into our water supply as well,
Our fish, seafood, if you're a fish eater, it's everywhere. They found it in placentas last year, if I'm not mistaken. There was a research.
What, like human placentas?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's everywhere.
And then does that get back to the point where, are we consuming these toxins? Is there a reason why then there's illnesses that could be avoided, or so we just don't know?
You see,
the research
you
there.
obviously are better in that stuff than me, but I would know from personal care products. I would do a lot of research on that, obviously because of our range, and I work with a lot of personal care suppliers, and those guys obviously, they have to go through. We don't just take people in. We have an integrity process that we need to understand a bunch of things before we say yes to a supplier. And, parabens, right? The substance parabens. So some shampoos or creams or personal care products will contain that specific substance. That substance will mimic hormones causing imbalance, and then God knows what happens, right? So certain things that we are just putting on our skins or absorbing through food or whatever it is that we're doing, they're obviously not good for us. But we continue to do because, you know what, that's how it's always been done. Nobody ever said anything about it. And in fact, people are covering up most of those things all the time. The big corp, they don't want us to know that, certain things are in food or in cosmetics because they want us to buy more and more and more. So, I'm sure there will be researches over the coming years, and I'm sure there are some already showing that certain elements like, your plastics and whatnot, they are impacting our health big time. It cannot not be bad, right?
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. Sure, it doesn't for it not to be. And then, so even, like the carbon footprint of a family going away on holidays and that, is that something that you are mindful of with your family?
Well, I have family abroad, and my family comes here visiting us a lot, which is obviously to me is good. A lot what I say is like twice a year I would have people here, which is great. And I'm grateful for that, but very conscious of that specific point because I want to see them. As I said, I have a grandmother who is like fading away every day. My grandfather, her husband, has Parkinson. So we are at these crossroads, big life milestones that I know will eventually and soon enough be happening. AKA, we'll have to say goodbye to them, right? Which is very sad, of course. But I want to be able to say I was there, I saw her, I spent time, and, the little bit that might be left on her of me, first granddaughter or first grandchild, as a matter of fact, I would like to believe that I gave her my time and I had that chance. Like anybody, any other human would, I suppose, right? So what I say is, and that's the perfect example for me because I'm trying my best on so many different areas, so much so that I turned that into my life, right? My career. This is what I do. But I travel because I have to. And I want my kids to have a connection with their other side of the family too. So again, going back to what I was saying is the preachiness, the judgmental, there will always be so much you can do, but then let's find what you can do. Let's try and figure that out and let's nail that. That's what I would always say. You're not going to be perfect. I'm always saying perfect is not a word I would use, like ever, because I was joking the other day, obviously this is a joke. Don't sue me, but I was joking, I'm sure Greta loves Coca-Cola, to drink. Like, obviously this is a joke again, please. But, nobody's perfect. There's always something that you're like, we know this is not good. It's like with a diet, you know what you're supposed to eat to keep your shape and your mind and your body and everything in good form, right? Whatever that means to you. I'm not talking about being skinny or anything like that because please look at me. I wouldn't be like that. But I'm saying we know what works for us, for our bodies. The same goes, and we will do our best, but we'll always want dessert, a bit of something there. And that happens with sustainable living. There is room for dessert, but you are doing the best you can 95% of the time.
Yeah.
So
by doing your best,
it's balance.
What you can and have balance. Like
it's anything. Balance.
And then what do you, like, in terms of the developing world, so, they are, obviously, they're the ones that are losing out when it comes to the environmental crisis that we're having. But also it's very difficult for them to be sustainable.
Very. Yeah, very. So I use Brazil as the example, obviously, because I can talk and nobody's going to give out to me, I suppose. Maybe they will. I don't know. At this stage, who knows?
Someone will always give out.
Someone will always give out. But, I always say during my talks, look, a person, like when we thrive, our planet thrives, right? If you look back at the Sustainable Development Goals that were put together by the UN a few years ago in 2015, in there, you're going to have your usual suspects, life below water, climate change, and all that jazz. But you'll also find stuff like gender equality, equal opportunities, education, health and well-being, things that people will not associate with sustainability from day one. When you hear sustainability, if you're getting familiar with the term or what it means, you will hear a lot about the environment, crazy weather, drought or wildfires and skinny animals and, extinctions and all of that. But you're not thinking necessarily immediately of like, if I don't have a good opportunity in my life, how am I supposed to mind this planet? Or if I'm not valued, heard, included, diversity and inclusion, so important, how am I supposed to thrive? So it's going back to the definition of sustainability. Although there's not one common definition, it is creating a fair and just space for all of us, humanity, to thrive. Because if we thrive, if we feel like we're like, I'm doing this, I'm nailing this life thing. Not nailing, but I'm navigating through it comfortably, right? I know what I have to do to prepare this space to the generations that are coming behind after me, right? I'm always saying we are guests. So leave this house, aka our planet, in a good shape for the next guests, right? Because it's like a bullet train, right? We have a ticket, and that ticket, we're going to get to a destination eventually. So what are you going to do? How are you going to leave that place for your kids, for their kids, and so on, and their generation pals? I think we need to remember that. And I'm always saying, in Brazil, if you take Brazil, for example, a person living in a slum, cardboard houses that exist, Laura, it's very extreme poverty, right? Do you think they are thinking about organic tomatoes or a cotton t-shirt that was made by, someone working fair labor conditions? And they're not thinking about that. They want to feed their kids. They want to dress their kids. And good luck if they can do that, the bare minimum. So how can they look after our planet? How can the planet thrive when the people are not even getting a decent chance at it, So I would do a lot of talks. I have Reuzi, as I was telling you before, but I am a speaker. I write for the Tatler every month, for the Irish Tatler, and it's all about that. It's like, how do we create a more fair, just space, supporting our local economy, supporting people surrounding us, being mindful of our choices. How do we do that to create that better planet and leave that house in a good shape for the next, for people coming in after us,
Yeah, and it is that though. It's how to create that for everyone though. But
yes.
it seems
very
like
difficult.
It seems like an insurmountable task. You're talking about the slums in Rio.
Yeah.
Like how do you? It does seem to me, and it's certainly in Ireland, like the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer and more oppressed. So how can we change it?
And I think that's why sustainability becomes such a political, I suppose, topic. It shouldn't be political, right? Mm-hmm. It's a human topic. Like I really don't like when I see politicians using sustainability to fight each other, or when you see the poor Greta being arrested there last week, fighting fossil fuel companies and all of that. Peaceful protest, but that becomes political, because our politicians are, working hand in hand with big companies, big corp, trying, lobbying for more and more and more. It's very difficult. And that's why when I look around me, I'm like, you know what? I am going to concentrate on what I can do, because, and that's for everything in my life. Like, what can I control? Right? What can I do? I can buy for companies that are doing the right thing or trying to do the right thing. I can support businesses. I can go to eat at places that I know they're trying harder. It's all about what can you control? You can control anything that comes out of your wallet, right? Anything that costs you money, it's under your control. Right? Nobody's putting a gun against your head and saying you have to shop from that supermarket because you have to. No, it might be convenient. I get it. But nobody's telling, it's not mandatory.
Okay.
So it's and what I say to people, it's not like I'm going out here and I'm perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm just trying harder. I'm just thinking about my choices. I have someone's birthday coming up. Like, I want to give them something. What can I give them? Easy for you to go into a big retailer, get something lovely, beautifully packaged, and there you go. But like, do I want to do that? What does that person like? It takes that extra time to think about your choices. But once you are in a routine, in that mindset, it becomes very easy.
Yeah.
What I would say is like, start with one area of your life. If it's your bathroom, do you want to do better? Okay, like, look at your toothbrush, your shampoo bottles, your cosmetics, etc. What in there could be better? Do you know the brands you're buying from? Do you know where they are, importing their raw materials from? What's their packaging like? There are brands out there that are trying harder, and they're not necessarily trying and shouting, "Oh, we are sustainable. We're trying this." And no, they're just doing their bit. I saw there's an Irish brand that I love, the girls, Ella and Joe, right? Mm-hmm. So Neve and Charlene, there is a cosmetic brand, self-care, right?
I know them, they're great.
I love them. And their miniature bundle, there's not one bit of plastic on travel size products. It's all glass or aluminum.
Okay.
And I've never seen it. And it's such a simple thing. It's not an essential in your life, right? It's not like food for your children. But I was like, you know what? If I had to give someone or for some reason I had to buy a miniature bundle, a travel set, I would buy from them because there's no plastic. And I thought that was incredible. And it's a small change, right? And we might not necessarily think about that because we're so used to those squeezy plastic bottles when it comes to miniatures. But I was like, that's great. Fair play to you guys. I was very impressed. And it's so simple. Such a small little thing.
Okay. So it's all of those small
things, what can you do better if it's one thing? For the guys listening to us, the folks listening to us, what can you do better? Think of one thing you would do better today. If you're going about your day and you're about to go out to get something, like, can you just rethink about that something? Can you do it better?
So what about clothes then? Because, fast fashion is very much here. And, I think people feel the need to change their clothes regularly or get the newest trend or whatever.
Yeah.
And we have heard, I have heard that the fashion industry is the worst for, the environment.
Yeah.
Probably next to the pharmaceutical industry, but that's another. I'm not.
There's so much happening though. Like I was reading about the pharma industry just earlier in this month, and for a project that we're going to start working on, and I was like, wow, that's so much happening there. It's impressive what's going on. They know there's a problem. Yeah, it's very clear, right? Mm-hmm. But so fashion.
If you love clothes and you want to change them, what can we do?
Today, fashion represents approximately 10% of our carbon emissions global, right? Okay. It's a lot, greenhouse gases, right? So if you think that, and by 2050, it could get to a quarter. So a quarter of the global emissions are caused by fashion.
And that's fashion for the Western world, because certainly...
Obviously, yeah. I love that you said that. Because, there's two sides to fast fashion, right? So fast fashion was not put together to help people that are living, on the poverty line or struggling, financially speaking, that wasn't never the reason. People are like, but I can afford clothes because it's cheap. And it's like, I get that. And if you can only afford to buy from fast fashion because you have, a challenging financial situation, or you have kids to dress and, you can't spend more money, we get that. Nobody's saying anything to that type of person. Obviously, it is what it is, guys. Let's do this. Yeah. The problem is that fast fashion wasn't put together to help that person. It was put together to sell more and more and more, right? They realized, at the time was Inditex, Zara's parent company, they realized that it took 15 days from sketch to store for the fast fashion, pieces.
15 days.
From sketch to store back in the 90s. And they're like, wait, there's something here, right? So they are like, let's give this a go. And that's why they afford to release, several, I suppose, new pieces every week, every month, and so on. Big brands like ultra fast fashion brands like Shein and all of those, they can release 4,000 pieces every week if they want. You know, it has been done. ASOS and all of Pennies, Primark, and all of those guys, you know, they have this incredible capability of producing stuff like that, right?
Okay.
So the problem is, as I said, they're not supporting poor people, let's go. They're supporting middle class, because people say, oh, this is such a classicist conversation. It's not, guys, because hardly poor people are the ones maintaining Primark alive, for example, right? It's middle class. It's that vanity. It's that it's okay to buy more and wear once and throw it away. And then look what we have. This is tempting. You have to be on trend. You know, did you see what the Kardashians are wearing? Now Pennies did the similar one. Just buy. And you're like, you know, you get overwhelmed. And, you know, the problem I have is that our young generations, and not so young, you know, as well, we're all being told it's okay to buy more. It's okay. You know, you're going to look great. You're going to look beautiful. And that is the problem we have. It's the overproduction.
Even during the Christmas sales, like I remember walking past a shop and there was loads of people buzzing around the shop, and it looked, and it was almost like, oh my God, just go in and see what's happening there. Now, it was just that there was things that were knocked down from, I don't know, 100
6 to 3.
Yeah. Or even like it was a more upmarket shop,
right.
But it was like, you know, designer stuff marked down from €100 to say €60 or something like that.
Yeah.
But people were buying manically, and I suppose it was thoughtlessness as well, because they weren't even thinking. It was more like, I'll get this because it's a bargain.
Yeah.
I'll get my quick hit of dopamine.
But you see,
and then that's it. There's no kind of thought in it.
No thought. And I actually saw, it was very interesting, the last Black Friday. You know, we obviously don't take part on Black Friday, right?
So why don't you take part? Because I've seen a number, I'd love you to explain it.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a number of small businesses say that they're not taking part because it's just, you
much.
You can take over.
So there's a few reasons, right? So when I started my journey with Reuzi, I forgot to tell you, I went back to school to study sustainability, right? I had that little baby, Reuzi, and I was like, throw in a few books and we can manage this.
You're a mad woman.
I just needed to learn, seek formal education. I didn't want to learn from cute Instagram posts, you know, or just on the job. I wanted to learn what the story is with all this thing. So went back, and I've been working, obviously there's a Reuzi there, but I've been working with companies, you know, on their missions and their sustainability journeys and customer experience. So I have a consultancy that I run in parallel with Reuzi. Our friend in common, Maria from She Goes Rogue. Everybody goes check Maria, please. She's amazing. You know, she was one of my clients.
Yeah.
And the idea is to help businesses put that together. It's like, who are you and what are you standing? You know, what do you stand for? You know, but really, what do you stand for? So Black Friday is one of those things that goes against what companies that are trying to do better are standing for. In the sense of, one, it's very difficult to compete with Amazon. It's very difficult to compete with the large retailer groups that can offer the proper 50% off. You know, a small business, if they're offering you 50% off, it's because they're losing money. I can safely say margins are tight. You know, it doesn't work like that. You have a business. I don't have to tell you, right?
Yeah.
There's no room for 50%. How do you get that? You need to be really big, right? Because maybe you're going to make up on scale. I don't know. Right, but
it's almost like now, like I remember when Black Friday first started. So I've been in, you know, I was in community pharmacy for 20 years. So it's basically a retail machine,
yeah.
And Black Friday didn't exist, you know, for years, and then it started, and it only started very small with a few things, and now it's like almost consumers expect it, and they're annoyed if you're not doing it, so they expect something to be, you know, 50% reduction, but like what you say, and even in a large retail group, they're making a loss. It's almost like they're putting the Black Friday sale on, so they get either feet in the door or you know, clicks online.
That's it.
And in the hope that people will buy more. Than than they initially expect to.
Yeah.
So if anything, they break even or just a little bit more. But it's like everyone piles on, so then no one can pile off because you know, everyone's trying to compete with everyone else.
But you can. So it's small businesses, and you know, it could be fashion businesses, it could be like businesses like Reuzi. And when we say we're not taking part, one, we're going to lose money. That's a fact. Okay. Two is, you know, if you didn't need it yesterday, if I give you 20% off today, does that mean you need it now? It's the need versus the want, right? And fashion is a lot of that. I don't need that blazer, but look, it's gorgeous. I want it so bad. And I'm not saying life should be black and white, gray and sad. From time to time, you do want stuff. It's nice. You worked so hard. Yeah, you want to give yourself a little tap on the back or that gorgeous little blazer. I get that. But what moments like those, like Black Fridays and all that, what they do is they give you that permission to shop. We didn't do Black Friday. We haven't ever done, right? Never joined. But the funny thing is last year, even though we had there was not one offer on the website. It was just a business as usual day. And we got so many orders through. I think people, because it's Black Friday, they're in that mindset, I'm going to spend money.
Yeah.
And they start shopping. And I was like, why is this happening? We don't have an offer up on the website. We have not sent a newsletter. In fact, we did saying sorry, not sorry. We're not doing this, and explaining the rationale.
I think people are in a shopping mentality.
Yeah. But what is that? I have it in me that there is a lot to do with it's very connected, I suppose, to what the fashion industry does. It's it's okay to buy more. It's only €6. Why wouldn't you? And you feel what? Shopping mentality, here I go. I'm going to shop. It's just so cheap. And they never give you a small basket. If you go into a Primark, for example, you get a huge basket, right? That fabric gray thing that they have. It's huge. Why is it so huge? Because you're just filling that thing with stuff you don't need. So fashion is a challenge. Personally, I love to create a wardrobe with classic timeless pieces. That's my wardrobe. I would have this for years. This is many years.
Pat is referring to the leggings that she's wearing and the boots for my audio people.
Sorry, guys. So, I would have stuff that, works in every season, or you can just dress a little bit up or down, whatever it is, but works. I would steer away from trends, from, but you have to have something in pink. This is the color of the season. I was like, I'm okay. Thanks.
Okay.
It's fine. All of those things I try to just ignore. But also, if I do want something new, I've learned how to redefine the concept of new. It could be renting. I love renting.
Yeah.
We were at the same event there, the VIP Power of Women event.
Yeah.
You were there, weren't you? We didn't know each other at that time. No, so I rented an event.
Pop up.
Yeah.
Did you go to, I bet you used the Happy Days, was
I
it?
did.
Yeah. They're lovely. And actually for the next thing I go to, I'm going to use them.
It's the best.
I hear lots of people talking about them.
Yeah, Rachel, she's amazing. She's doing a great job. She's beside my house. That helps a lot. Again, it's convenient. So once it becomes convenient and easy, people will adopt the change and that's why retailers put me out of a job.
Because it's like that when, if you go to a wedding or there's a couple of weddings in the year, you have to buy a new outfit for every...
No,
but
it's over. Those days are over.
Okay.
I rent. And even if it's a fancier dinner or a little charity lunch or whatever it is that you're invited to, am I going to spend whatever amount of money on a new dress that I'm literally, no, I'm not. I'm going to rent. It's cheap and cheerful. Happy Days. Everybody's happy. Happy Days is the name of the business.
Or you can also add a scarf to something or...
accessorize differently.
Ways,
yeah.
Isn't there? And
shop your
and you mentioned that
wardrobe.
lady Maria, because Maria from She Goes Rogue, because she, changes clothing around. She'll have a denim jacket. I was speaking with her because that's how we were speaking about you. She has denim jackets and she puts different sleeves on them for winter and summer.
And it's gorgeous.
It's kind of, I suppose, thinking about those kinds of things.
It's one, shopping your own wardrobe. That's the best thing you can do. And accessorize differently to, change things up, jazz it up if you want, etc. Number one, rent is a great option. Swapping with friends. I've always asked girls, what's up? Girls, I'm looking for a bag for an event that are this color, size, whatever. Anybody, there's always someone who say, I have.
I'll my mum would be the person I go to, but never thought about asking friends. But
definitely.
I'd love to, give my clothes to my friends.
I love when people ask me, but I saw you wearing such and such thing. Any chance? always, I'm very detached from stuff. So I'm always like, yeah, take. My sister is like a happy camper. She comes to visit. She was here in December. She left with like half of her luggage was mine. Oh, I like this. I was like, yeah, you can keep it. She's like, are you serious?
Just don't throw it into landfill.
Just use it. Yeah. But, you know, so swapping, asking friends, borrowing, obviously very good. And shopping secondhand. You know, I think the secondhand world in Ireland is transforming. You know, there are two companies that I would highlight. You know, one is Thriftify. It's a website/app. You know, have you heard?
No, but you know what I'm going to do? All of those little things that you've mentioned in the podcast, you can send me the links and I'll put it into the podcast notes.
Definitely, okay. Yeah. So Thriftify was put together by a few Irish guys, you know, young guys, and they did a great job. So what is it? It's a hub for charity shops from UK and Ireland, where they have like a multitude of products that you don't have to go through one by one in a charity shop, you know, and take time. You can do it from your home, from your bed. You just browse and you find you are supporting the charity shop because you're buying an item that probably you would never see in real life, you know. But then again, Thriftify as a hub puts everything together and you can just browse. Amazing. And the other is NCBI. You know, the charity NCBI, they're doing a very good job. They have a shop, for those in Dublin, they have a shop, or visiting Dublin, in, help me here now, Capel Street. They turned that shop into a vintage hub. So there's a vintage section that's beautiful, but the other sections, they have like designer stuff. They have like just regular day-to-day clothes, but it's beautifully put together. It feels like you're in a boutique. But it's all one of a kind because obviously they don't have two of each, right? Or three.
Because I'm not a shopper, as in like I don't like going shopping. Like sometimes my mum will go, Laura, we need to sort you out. Let's take. But you know, the likes of like what you're saying, Zara and that. Like if I go there, and even especially when there's a sale on, I get panicked.
No,
there's just too many clothes, too many people,
messy.
And I hate. I would rather go to a shop where there's like 6 things on the rack, and I can look at them. I get really overwhelmed in my brain. I can't take too much stimulus. I'm
the same.
Go.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. So we'll put all those little links in the show notes so people can actually access them. And hopefully,
there's a multitude of great secondhand shops out there. There's a multitude of rental places out there right now more than ever. You know, I think it's getting much better. Again, going back to whatever it is. Now, when I moved to Ireland in 2011, I remember going to a place in Powerscourt called Covet to rent a dress for an occasion. And
COVID or Covet?
Covet. Did I say COVID? Oh, sorry, like people. Covet. Do you know that shop upstairs?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's very glam. There's a lot of bridal stuff. So I went in, rented a dress, and it was beautiful. And I went back there. They were doing a sale. So I bought this beautiful silk dress. I still have it. It's gorgeous. And I wear because it's quite large. So I can wear, when I was pregnant, I wore, and people are like, oh my God, that's beautiful. I was like, thanks, secondhand. You know, but it was harder to shop secondhand. It was more like the old style charity shops that you're like, I'm not sure. Yeah. Now the experience is getting much better. You have access to them online. Social media has helped a lot. Yes. You know, there's a serious amount of secondhand shops out there. If you go into my page and look at people I'm following, I follow basically all of them. So just start following them too. You know, I think there are ways now, much easier.
I'm actually really interested. I want to go and look at all of those things.
Oh, listen, it's fun. Yeah. It's fun.
And is there anything else that we can do so I think we've kind of discussed an awful lot of the way we can, I suppose, make those small steps. Is there any other information that you would like people to know before, either about you, your business, or about sustainability, before I ask you the 2 probing questions?
Okay. So no, for sustainability, I do think, have the conversations. If you are someone who is very like all or nothing, or as I like to say, 8 or 80, try and understand and meet people where they are. There's no point in me saying to someone who is like Primark obsessed, saying like, you can no longer shop there, okay, honey? Or if you love barbecue, it's like, sorry, you have to go vegan tomorrow. Is that okay? The person will laugh at you. But like, are you
vegetarian
joking?
Actually, or vegan?
Yeah, vegetarian, yes.
Because it's more sustainable for the planet?
Firstly, because of animals, I would feel sorry. I would have dairy from time to time. Eggs, I am not a fan. But I would have dairy from time to time on a pizza or something. But like meat is more, I started because of animals and then the planet followed suit, I guess. But
were you always this way, even in Rio?
No. So funnily enough, I had a boyfriend many years ago, and I went vegetarian for 3 years from when we were together. Talk about someone with no personality, self-identity, But and then I went back to my old ways in Brazil. Like meat is number one, right? It's not a meal if there's no meat.
Yeah.
And then obviously over the years, I was like, no, let me rein it in and start again. And obviously it becomes easier, as you try, as you do. My family, my boys eat meat. My husband, there's no hope. The fella from Monaghan, there's no hope.
Yeah.
He's going to go vegan, but I would he's lactose intolerant. So in my house, there's very little lactose and my boys are too.
Okay.
So, which helps. It's easier in that way. So we would have your oat milk or cheese is something that we wouldn't really have at the house unless we order, as I said, like a pizza or something. But
I just think an awful lot of more thought has to go into vegetarianism when you're cooking for a family or yourself even. I did it for a couple of years, but I love Indian food and it's much easier when you're cooking with spices and herbs. Because they just add all that flavour. Yeah. But it does require a lot more effort for the cook. Because you could just slap on a bit of steak and have a few potatoes and it's a delicious meal.
Done.
Whereas, you really need to jazz an owl carrot up for it to be very tasty.
I love it. Aubergine is a good one. No, it's true. It's true. You know what? Like I always say, and that's one subject that to me is very difficult for me to say to people, like you need to go plant-based. I'm like, start flexitarian. Start a few days a week. Or if you're out and there's an appealing, an attractive dish, try, a meat-free dish. Try on. If you're going to Burger King, McDonald's and all those places, try their plant-based option. It's the same. I've had them before. Just try on. It's not that I don't like the flavor, the texture. I just try not to have because of all the reasons I mentioned, But what I'm saying is, I can't go to my husband using him as the poor fella as the example again and say, Stephen, look here, you're going to go vegan tomorrow. He'll laugh at me. So I'm meeting where he is. It's like, maybe how about we try, a bolognese that's made from lentils or not even tell him. I don't tell him sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Mushroom. And he's like, what is this? I was like, meat. And he's like, is it? And once he's done, he's like, did you like that? It's like, yeah, it's a badge. It's like, yeah, it's mushrooms. It's like, I knew it wasn't meat.
You can trick them. You can trick them to a certain point and then.
But then it's like, look, I'm going to be making more of those. And he's like, oh, I suppose fine. Yeah, whatever. Okay. And then it's just one small step.
Yeah.
Meeting him where he is to try and work from there, So I think it's important that we make it normal, make it fun, make it light because nobody wants to be told, finger in their face, you have to do that. It's like, it's not going to work.
No.
Right? So that's from sustainability. For myself, you can either check me on reuzi.ie, where obviously we offer all those products that if you need, we're there. If you want to talk about sustainability, I am on Kane. And I also offer consultancy services, as I said to you, to businesses, small and big. Have a few on the go at the moment. I adore working with businesses. It brings me back to my corporate days. And I kind of crave that corporate structure a bit.
Yeah.
So that's amazing and it's going really well. I'm writing for the Tatler every month. So you can find me on Tatler magazine mid-month, usually.
Okay.
That's me. But please talk to me. I love talking to people.
Yeah,
it's great.
No, I'm definitely going to be checking out some of the things that you just said.
Amazing.
And I just think that if we all, like what you said, if we all just make that little small step. So this brings us to our.
I'm going to get my notes because I'm not.
That is the first guest that has actually brought notes about my advice for young people. And
oh my God,
what is the meaning of life?
Okay, so we start with the advice for young people.
Advice for young people.
So if I had. Obviously, I was thinking about that when you sent the questions. I was like, oh, okay, that's intense because there's so much there. If I could go back with my mindset of today to when I was 18, probably I would be a very boring 18-year-old, wouldn't have done some silly shit things. But
okay, you can curse all you want.
But
no censorship.
I think what I would say is like, try to figure it out from the get-go how you're going to earn your own respect, right? How you're going to earn respect. I think right now with social media and people just overnight becoming stars and expecting to be famous for what? Who knows?
15 minutes.
Nothing, and like a viral video. It's like, is that what you want? Like how you're going to earn respect from others. I think this is very important. It's the mindset of like working hard, educating yourself, finding something you love, whatever that is. My mom always said to us, and I love that, I don't care what you're going to be. You can be anything you want, but be the best on that field, so if you're gonna work for a business,
no pressure
no pressure, but I get what she was saying. It's like, don't do anything half-arsed, basically. If you're gonna do it properly. And I say that to my 8-year-old because he comes to me with his homework that's all like half-arsed, and I'm like, Thomas, you do it well, you do it once. You do it poorly, you're going to have to repeat it, man. Yeah. And he looks at me, and I'd say he hates me at this stage, the poor fella. He doesn't. But it's just, really, this is how life works. There's billions of people in the world. You are easily replaceable. So how are you going to be known for, and how are we going to respect you for? What are we going to respect you for? I think that's important. So earn that. Don't expect it. It doesn't come to you on a tray, a silver tray, a gold-plated tray. It doesn't happen like that. It works. You need to work for it, right? I think, again, if you go back to the beginning of the interview, I come from a hardworking, family of these women that were like always on the go, always on. And I know this is not necessarily a great advice, but like work for it, work hard. And I think, in the right mindset, finding the right space, what you want to do. I think this is important. It took me ages, and I still say, like, I'm 40 years old and I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but I'm going to keep trying, and I'm going to keep trying the best I can, doing my best in everything I try until I figure out what I want to do when I grow up,
Well, I think that's great advice.
I hope so.
Now, Pat, what is the meaning of life?
Okay, so that was a tough one.
We have an essay here.
We have an essay. Okay. So I think on the whole meaning of life to me, I love to be able to feel comfortable in my own skin. To me, meaning of life, when you mentioned that question, I was like, I don't think that depends on achievements, on material stuff. To me, to have a meaningful life is to look right now, not even look back, because obviously we're only 40, right? We're only so young here. But, it's just to look at my life, and I'm like, I have a great sense of like accomplishment as a human. As being a good person, a good friend, a good mom, a good sister, a good daughter, whatever, a good wife, whatever it is, I think I am doing the best I can.
Men really do come down the pecking order, don't they? Because you said wife last.
Like I was, and the funny thing is, that's my family. I'm telling you, it's a disaster. I'm like friend, sister, daughter.
Yeah.
Mother, wife. But it's like, it's literally knowing that I'm doing the best I can, and that if I die tomorrow, please God, touch wood, I have a lot to do here, but people look and say, look, I met Pat at that stage of my life, and we had a great time because of that. Or, I found her, I want people to have good memories and to leave that little ray of sunshine everywhere you go. I think that's a good, meaningful life where I can look back and say, wow, I've accomplished more than stuff. It's the web of people that I've been connected to, and we made a difference to one another. I think to me it's the human connection. I think that's important.
Yeah, the feeling you leave behind.
The feeling, the stuff, because the stuff will go away. Breaks, ends. It's spent somewhere. I don't know, but that feeling will last, hopefully, right? Yeah. So I want to be able to create a meaningful, deeply connected life with other people and experiences that will last more than my physical body, I guess.
Well, I think you've certainly affected me properly on this podcast, and I'd say even through the sound waves, you've affected so many people with just the talk that we've had, and I think that It's just been wonderful having you on. And I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk to me.
I'm very happy. Thank you so much.
And I'm going to leave all of Pat's, how you can get to her on her businesses and all of the information that she gave in the podcast in the show notes. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.